You're watching Taste the Victory.
The Digimon TCG is a great game for players and collectors alike, with beautiful art even on just the throwaway commons, and simple to understand but very in-depth gameplay that allows for a lot of competitiveness and self-expression for the serious tournament player. The alt arts too are gorgeous chase cards, great for collectors to open packs in pursuit of, and Bandai has already created a Worlds tournament structure early in the game's life for competitive players to work towards. But what about bridging the gap between these two? How do you even go about that? While it might not be a serious goal for TCG developers as both can coexist and equally support the game, I believe flavor and theming in gameplay is a great way to do that if you wanted to, and makes competitive play that little bit more fun and immersive. Bandai could easily slap a Digimon name and a random effect on a card and call it a day, and no one would really care too much. But making the effect play into the lore of the Digimon makes the card that little bit cooler and helps get someone a little more interested in playing a deck. And delightfully, the Digimon TCG consistently knocks it out of the park in this field, to the point where I had to gush over it and write the script after the latest Japanese set. There's so many examples of this that I won't be able to cover them all in one video if I don't want this video to go on 30 minutes, and maybe I'll make this into a series, but let's get into some examples of how the Digimon design team beautifully and seamlessly designs cards with effects that are both good and perfectly reflective of that Digimon's lore. The most quickly apparent and known example of this in the game so far is the Dioboromon series of cards. In the Digimon movie Our War Game, which was the middle section of the English Digimon movie, Dioboromon is a diabolic virus released to the internet, causing technology malfunction all over Japan and eventually launching a missile targeting the country. In its fight with Omnimon, it makes a rapid number of clones of itself, overbearing Omnimon, while Omnimon is also being slowed down by kids all over the world emailing and messaging their support. Dioboromon represents this in gameplay through focusing on spawning token copies of itself. When the first Dioboromon card in set 1.0 attacks, it summons a token. And later Dioboromon cards summon a token when digivolving. A large part of the identity of this deck is getting huge boards of 4 to 5 tokens in a single turn, representing the swarm of Dioboromon in the film. How am I supposed to beat this? They're not as strong as the original, however, only being 3000 DP for a mega level Digimon. As seen in the movie, the clones are not terribly strong either and are easily wiped with some cannon shots. It's just that the sheer number of them is overwhelming. The lower level cards in the deck like Kiramon and Kurisarimon also help this playstyle by powering yourself up the more copies of Dioboromon you have on the field. Infamon specifically, however, is another direct reference to the film. When the Digi-Destined first encounter Kiramon in their fight, it warp digivolves into Infamon, skipping Kurisarimon, who we never see in the film. This is why Infamon lets you skip a level and go straight from Kiramon to Infamon in its effect. But what about his forever arch-rival Omnimon? Transcending history and the world, a tale of souls and swords eternally retold. The first Omnimon card's effect in set 1.0 is a direct reference to his fight with Dioboromon in the movie. When digivolving, Omnimon can destroy one Digimon of your choosing and all cards with the same name on the field. Which means, versus a board of Dioboromon tokens, Omnimon wipes their board completely clean just like in the film, making him a hard counter like how he effortlessly defeats Dioboromon once fused. Bandai did not need to sacrifice power for flavor or vice versa though. Even in a vacuum, without the film reference, Omnimon's effect was great and made it the strongest deck back in 1.0. The ability to blow up same named cards is great against decks like Rookie Rush that might spam a lot of the same Digimon because of their lower cost. The war between Dioboromon and Omnimon continues to be referenced further in later support, but maybe that could be part of a part 2, as there's other really well done stuff I'm excited to get to, and we spend quite a bit of time on Dioboromon already in this video. The flavor isn't limited to just Digimon cards themselves or even option cards. Even entire mechanics have been designed to beautifully represent the mechanic from the anime, and those small attentions to detail go a long way in keeping nerds like me coming back. This is best shown off in the recent DNA Digivolution, or Jogress in Japan, mechanic added to the game through the Mastemon and Pyeotramon structure decks. In the anime, DNA Digivolution is a fusion of 2 Digimon to 1 stronger level. Pyeotramon and his Evos being arguably the most popular of the 02 season DNA Digimon. The way this is implemented in the card game perfectly emphasizes how this is a new being coming out of the fusion of two other Digimon. DNA Digivolution Mons were already in the game previously, like Dioboromon and Omnimon. They worked differently, however, and the way their fusion was represented was being able to digivolve from one of the two colors listed on the card, but you didn't need both. In the case of the old Dioboromon card from set 1.5, you could digivolve from blue or green because Xvmon and Stingmon are typically associated with blue and green respectively. It's cute and fitting, but still always just one Digimon card evolving into another Digimon card like any other normally would, just now with more options. With the new revamped DNA mechanic introduced in these structure decks and further supported in Booster Set 8 currently in Japan, theming is through the roof with the new evolution requirements. You now have a new DNA Digivolution requirement you can meet, which typically requires two separate Digimon being on the field, and by fulfilling the DNA Digivolution requirement printed on the card of the two specified types of Digimon, you can digivolve for free. The mechanic now literally takes two separate stacks on the field and fuses them into one stronger Digimon, a more accurate portrayal of the anime scenes. This is treated as a bonus, however, and you still have the option to digivolve normally for the full cost over one Digimon and not activate one of the bonus effects, thus not sacrificing playability for flavor, since having two full Digimon lines out isn't terribly easy depending on the level you're digivolving into. In the anime, two Digimon are coming together into a single new consciousness. Even just how the DNA Mon comes into the field represents this through gameplay. Even if both of the Digimon used to DNA evolve were suspended, meaning they are turned sideways and can't attack anymore for that turn, the new DNA Mon comes in unsuspended and is able to attack. If you used any once per turn inheritable effects on either of the Digimon used to DNA evolve, they are now reset and can be used again if their condition is still met. Any lingering effects affecting either of the two Digimon used as material are removed. This is all because in the lore, the DNA Mon is a new, refreshed being coming out of the fusion of two separate beings, two consciousnesses forming into one. The previous conditions never affected it specifically. The two partner Digimon have come back refreshed and ready to fight at a stronger level together. The last example for today is a bit more creepy. Dreaper is introduced in the Japanese X2 Digital Hazard set, based on the final enemy of the third season of the anime, Digimon Tamers. In the show, the Dreaper is an eldritch abomination leaked into the real world. Lovecraft inspired in its scale and designs, it's an out there and bizarre final encounter for a kids show. Not Digimon, not human, just a horrendously mutated computer virus with only one programming that feels detached from everything else in the anime, making it an unsettling villain for our protagonist to fight. The Dreaper grows to mind-boggling scale and even possesses a friend of the main cast. The card game's interpretation being able to express all of this so well is, simply put, phenomenal. Starting with the very basics of the game, the Dreapers don't have levels. In the TCG, the levels emulate the stages Digimon grow to: Rookie, Champion, Ultimate, Mega, and anything beyond Mega in the English dub. The Dreaper ignores these levels and the Digivolution mechanic, despite having so many forms represented in the game. The Mother Dreaper, which could be considered the equivalent to this deck's Mega or its Wincon or Boss Monster, is a Digitama hatched from your breeding area and then can be moved to the battle area without digivolving it. It cannot be stressed enough how just unbelievably bizarre this card was to people that have been playing for a while when it was revealed. In Digimon, you have a little baby form that eventually grows to the rookie stage that is usually depicted as the beginning of a Digimon in the TV shows. These babies usually don't get depicted much in the shows because they are so weak and still growing. That's why they even have their own little area that protects them from all harm in the game. During the breeding phase, you only have two choices: hatch an egg or move a Digimon out of the breeding area. You can't move a Digitama, so you have to wait until it's evolved to at least a rookie to move it out next turn. Digitama normally cannot exist in the battle area. And yet, here's an entire boss monster just hatched freely out of the breeding area. All this to say, the Dreaper breaks the rules and fundamental norms of the game, bending your mind and becoming this entirely new, confusing foreign entity you have to wrap your head around. brilliantly getting across the point of this abomination being an otherworldly horror. During the game, none of the D-Reapers can digivolve, and a lot of them have high play cost. The main engine of the deck, the Mother, can't attack or be attacked by effects. So how is this deck supposed to do anything? I'm safe, right? If we keep reading Mother, its other effects read: Main, once per turn, if you don't have another Mother D-Reaper in play, place one of your ADR-02 Searcher in play, or one of your Searcher in your hand at the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards. Second effect, your turn, once per turn, when your Digimon with D-Reaper in traits would be played from your hand, you can reduce the play cost of that Digimon by 1 for each Digivolution card this Digimon has. So then we look at this little guy, Searcher. If you don't have another copy of this already on the field, it plays itself for 1. The Mother, once per turn, can then absorb it, adding it to its stack. Searcher's inheritable effect then powers up all D-Reapers by 1000 DP. If we look at D-Reaper's other cards, we see Gatekeeper is very powerful by being able to reduce the damage your opponent's entire board can do to your security by 1 if your Mother has 6 Digivolution cards under it. If we look at Reaper, if Mother has 7 sources, it can play itself for free. And for every 2 Searchers you put from your trash to this card's sources, you can unsuspend and keep attacking, eventually for game. The more Searchers Mother gets in its sources, the stronger the D-Reapers become and are able to attack over all your Digimon. The more sources Mother gets, the closer it's getting to dropping a Reaper for game, or Gatekeeper to all but lock you out of any hope to win. You're on a clock. But Mother is unaffected by effects, and it can't attack, so I'll never be able to swing over it. What do you do then if you don't have any way to attack Mother like some decks do, like Jesmon for example? Do I just keep swinging at security and try to beat the clock? But their board is just getting wider and wider, and Gatekeeper might play itself out of security at any moment if I keep attacking. I could try attacking their other monsters, but late game, with the cost reduction effect, they'll outpace me. My rested Digimon will be swung over by their boosted Reapers, and anything else is deleted by Pallades' head. But while I was worrying about all this, they're already up to 6 sources. Reaper could drop at any moment. What do I do? At the core, D-Reaper is just a combo deck, hoping to see any combo of Bubbles, Jerry, Searcher, and Mother. But the design of the monsters and gameplay of the deck strays completely away from the basis of the game, and its basic rules doing an excellent job of conveying what an otherworldly creepy creature it is. Mother just keeps growing and growing, expanding and becoming more of an existential threat while you're on a clock to find a way to stop it before it's too late. The representation of this through its growing sources and Mother's effect itself, sucking in the Searchers, how it devours and sucks in everything in the city in Tamers, are such great little details. D-Reaper truly feels like a bizarre creature that shouldn't exist, yet you have to play against it. Flavor helps bring your game to life and shows attention to detail, and there's no wrong or right choice. Pokemon, for example, has very little flavor to the game, usually just reusing old effects on new Pokemon, so that effect players are familiar with can be used in standard competitive play once it has left the pool of legal cards, which rotates after a couple of years. While this always saddened me a bit, as Pokemon is one of my favorite series ever, it's not a deal breaker by any means. I still play it. But the extra effort is appreciated, and it's why I'm here gushing about the flavor in Digimon and want to talk about it to anyone that will listen. Other games can still knock it out of the park with flavor too, like the Spiral Card's effects in Yu-Gi-Oh! But maybe it's just because I'm playing Digimon more frequently, but it's entertaining to see this level of flavor show up constantly in Digimon, not just for main archetypes. There's tons more examples I didn't even touch on in this video because I didn't want this to get too much longer. If you all enjoyed this and would like another video though, let me know. And any tips that could be improved on the format. I had a lot of fun making it, and I really hope you found a lot of fun in watching this and maybe learned something new. I'll see you in the next video, and until that next video, remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.